little while ago, Charlie was talking about the mitzvah, Tzipis Yeshua, and this whole Kehilas, this whole night, is an outcry to Kodesh Baruch Hu, that we're mitzapim and mekavim. So I want to share with you, just for a few minutes, my own outcry, my own tefillah. The Hilge Triska Magid Schlusi Yeleinu, there came a time in his life where every single talk that he gave, every single pasuk that he opened up to in Chumash, he was saying all kinds of remozim, hints, gematrias, Rashi Tevis about Mashiach. Everything was Mashiach, everything was Geula. And his Heilige brother, Rabbi Yitzchak from Square, asked him, what is going on, what's happening? And the Triska Magid said, what can I do? Every single time I open the Chumash and I look inside, every single time I look inside, every single pasuk that I open up to, it becomes so clear to me, it's so obvious to me. The Mashiach must come now. I see it in every single pasuk. And I say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Abba, Tat in Himmel, Father. It says clearly in your Torah, in every single pasuk it says the Mashiach has to come, that it's time for Geula. So his brother, Rabbi Yitzchak Sfer, heard this. And his brother said, Avramala, these days you don't have to look in every pasuk in Chumash. You don't have to bring a raya from Chumash. Just look at every single Jewish heart. Just look at every broken heart. And you see from every heart that you're looking at, the Mashiach has to come now. And we're living in such a time where every single day, the people I'm talking to, the Jews that I'm hearing, you don't need to have all kinds of Muslim psukim. The hearts are crying out that we can't go on like this. The Mashiach must come. I would say 50 years ago or so, I was by the Rebbe, I was here for Slichas. And I went shopping a little bit on Kingston Avenue in this farm store. And they bought an old copy of the Pri Tzaddik from the Kohen from Lublin, Reb Tzaddik from Hakhel from Lublin. And I was looking ahead to Rosh Hashanah, and there was a sentence that I saw that changed my life. Reb Tzaddik writes, K'moishe Shamanim Rabbeinu HaKodesh Mishbitza, that I heard from the Holy Rabbi of Ishbitz. Shemizman his galus Eisek Abal Shem Tov HaKodesh Ba'olam. That since the time that the Eisek, the business of the Heilige Baal Shem, was revealed in the world, Zeu hisnoitzetzus bechinis Mashiach. That is the hisnoitzetzus, that spark, that awakening of Mashiach. The Eisek Baal Shem. And we find this in Shevis Yisrael from the Vlednikir, from Pinchas Koritz, and many, many tzaddikim, and then see him from Chabad, Beineihem. This Eisek from the Baal Shem, Reb Tzadok calls the Eisek of Baal Shem, means many things. The Eisek of Baal Shem means Simcha, it means Bittul, it means Nagina, it means Ahavas Yisrael, it means his Boinenus, it means his Boidedus, it means many, many things. But the Pnimius of that Eisek, of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, is found in the Lashon of the Rambam, by the Siyum now that's taking place, where the Rambam writes at the end, V'lo yeh Eisek kol ha'olam. Eisek. V'lo yeh Eisek kol ha'olam, the only business of the world that's going to be. Elo ladas es Hashem bilvad. It's ladas es Hashem, to know God. Ladas es Hashem bilvad. And then he ends, of course, with the posik, Ki molar is des Hashem, kemayim liyam. Ladas es Hashem bilvad. Ladas es Hashem, like we learned in Tanya today in Membeis. The das of the Rayim hymn of Moshe Rabbeinu that's inside each and every one of us. Ladas es Hashem means das is his kashrus, is connecting, is a deep connection. Ladas es Hashem bilvad. And that doesn't only mean knowing Hashem, but it means recognizing and knowing the Hashem, the Lakus, in every single person that we meet, in our own children, in each other, husbands and wives, parents and children. The Alter Rebbe, look at the Torah and Acharei Mos, asks, how is it possible? What does it mean to do tshuva? Tshuva means to return. But leis also polimine. What does it mean to return to God? God is everywhere. How do you return to him? He never left you. He's everywhere. So what does it mean to do tshuva, to return to him? So Alter Rebbe explains that there are two kinds of relationships. There's panim al panim, and there's achor ba'achor. We know this from the Ksavim. There are two ways of relating to each other in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One is face-to-face, and the other is back-to-back. You can have a husband and wife, they're living in the same house for 20, 30, 40 years. They raise children together. They go to simchas, they make simchas together, but they're not really facing each other. There's really that das, that knowledge, that awareness, that hiskashrus, that presence of the Rayim, him, of Moshe Rabbeinu, of das, is missing, is not there. And the Navi cries out, Ponim elai oiref, Ponim elai oiref, eloi ponim. Jews are keeping mitzvahs, Jews are keeping Shabbos. But they're missing this das, this awareness, this connection, this looking for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this Ponim al Ponim. The tefillah that we're talking about tonight, this outcry, the urgency of every mitzvah, the Rebbe's call, all that we're discussing, all that we're davening for is one thing. Es panecha Hashem avakesh, al taste panecha mimeni. Es panecha Hashem avakesh, Hashem, I'm looking for you. In every Jew that I meet, I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you in my kids. I'm looking for you in my husband. I'm looking for you in my wife. I'm looking for you in myself. Es panecha Hashem avakesh. Al taste panech mimen. I heard once from my daughter when she was a little girl a story. I don't know if it ever happened. I've shared it many times. That over 100 years ago, I don't think it's true, but some story that over 100 years ago in London there was a poetry competition. Well, the Americans are busy with the Yankees and the Bulls, and in England they were having poetry competitions. And the three finalists were on the stage, and there were hundreds of people, fine English people in the audience, and there were judges. And the last poem that was given to be recited was Psalm 23, which we know, Mizmor David Hashem Rei Lo Yachsar. Hashem is my shepherd, and if I have Hashem, then nothing in my life is missing. I have everything. I'm not afraid. And that was the last poem. And each one recited it. And the third fellow was a young guy, and he did a beautiful job. It was very, very good. And it was clear that he was going to win, judging by the approval of the audience. He was the winner, hands down. And all of a sudden, somewhere in the audience, an old man got up with a long beard, an Eastern European Jew got up and called out, judges, could you give me a chance to try? Let me try. And they thought this would be an amusing way to end the evening by making fun of a Jew. And they said, sure, and the old man got up, and he began in broken English to recite Kapitel of Gimel. At the beginning, people were smirking, they were smiling. By the time that he was finished, many people were crying. And the event was over, they're walking out, and the young guy got the award, and they're heading out, and the young man is walking with the old rabbi. And the young man says, Rabbi, the truth is you deserve the award. And the rabbi says, I wasn't competing. And the young man asked him, tell me, Rabbi, why is it that when I finished the 23rd Psalm, the entire audience was cheering? But when you finished, there was silence and there were tears. And the old Rav said, my friend, you did a beautiful job, but there's a very big difference between the two of us. The difference is that I know the shepherd. That's the difference. I know the shepherd. Hashem Roi. Hashem is my shepherd. Chevra, if you don't feel that, if we're not in that place of knowing the shepherd, if we're not in that place of es panecha Hashem avakesh, how are we supposed to bring that out in others? And how are we supposed to avoid the recitation of Yiddishkeit, that our davening, our learning, our mitzvahs are not just reciting, but they're being said as love songs to Kodesh Baruch Hu. It has to do with the way that we talk to each other. To bring Mashiach in such a way to come to that point of Umolar's Deis Hashem. I'll end with a story that all of you know much better than me. And I'm nervous to say a Maisa from the Frierdiker Rebbe in front of you. But this is the way that I heard it. So I'm sure you'll all correct me. But this is the way that I saw it in some Sefer. You know, in 1929, the Frierdiker Rebbe Schusi Yelenu was in Eretz Yisrael. He left a short time, it was right before the pogrom that happened in Hebron. And it was just a day or two before the Frierdiker Rebbe was leaving. He was in Yerushalayim. And there were hundreds and hundreds of people that were converging on the place that he was staying, looking for a bracha, looking for chizik. Many of the old Hasidim who came to Eretz Yisrael were there. And there was this one Jew who had formerly been a Chabad Chosid back in the Haim. But he came to Eretz Yisrael, that time of the Chalutzim, and later on, there was a certain pioneering spirit. Oftentimes, the mitzvahs were abandoned. And this fellow, it seems, was not really keeping things anymore. He came from a prominent Lubavitcher family. I don't know his name. And he had heard that the Frierdiker Rebbe was there. And it happened that street where the Rebbe was staying was the place to which he would pass in order to get to work every day. But now he was afraid. He saw all the Chassidim there, and he was afraid somebody might recognize it, even without a beard. And he was walking around in a pair of shorts and sandals. And he was afraid maybe somebody would recognize him and would be embarrassing for him and for his family. So he avoided the Rebbe, he avoided going there. But then there was a sign that he saw, so he would go around the corner. Every day he would make a long circuit around the corner. And finally he saw a sign, and he understood it was the last day that the Rebbe was there. And how is it possible for an old Lubavitcher Chassid, no matter what he's wearing, no matter what he's doing or not doing, to keep himself away from the Rebbe? So what happened? This Yid, finally, with his shorts and his sandals and his cut-out T-shirt. So the fellow goes in, pushes his way. The Chassidim are looking, they don't recognize him. He has his eyes down. He pushes his way. He became already Israeli enough to do that, and he pushed his way right into the Rebbe. And the Rebbe looked at him in the eyes. And the Rebbe recognized him right away, and the Rebbe said, Dreitzach hin, Dreitzach her, einmal, zweimal. We make circles, we go around, we draw around once, we draw around twice. A saif in the end, but der Zicher kommen. In the end, everybody comes back. In the end, for sure, I knew you would come. Dressed this way or dressed that way. But in the end, I knew you would come. Chevre, we're draying a hin and a hair. The day is coming. Hina yom and boim. And each one of us is going to be Zoche Bez Hashem to look at Mashiach in the eyes. It's happening. That's what we're talking about. That's why we're here. It's happening. And we're going to look at Mashiach in the eyes. And Mashiach is going to smile and say, Dreitzach hin and Dreitzach her. You wandered around so many years. But I knew in the end you would come back. Our job is not to wait for that day. Our job is Umolar is Deis Hashem now, to fill the world with Deis Hashem. So each and every one of us will be proud to look at Mashiach in the eyes and to be Zoche for that day. Ki ayin ba'ayin yiru. B'shuv Hashem tzion. B'gul Hashem amitis. Amen v'amen.